In this video, we're going to introduce and begin working with arrays. A variable is a memory location that has a name that we programmers use and has exactly one value stored in it. It remembers that value, so when we need it in our program, it is available. It can be a primitive or a reference type. Now that's the kind of information we have used so far. One variable, one value. However, sometimes it is very important to have a collection of data, many different values, and it would be inconvenient to have each one represented by its own separate variable. We need a way to aggregate them or collect them together and have one name, one variable name with multiple values. An array is one way to implement that idea. An array is a fixed size container that holds multiple values. Now, obviously, each value must have some way of being distinguished from another, like the pages of a book are all part of one book, but they have separate page numbers. So we refer to them by that number. An array has a similar concept. Each element has a number that distinguishes it. We see that container conceptually as first value, second value, all the way up to the last value, like page numbers, first page, second page, last page. This allows us to have one variable, the array, with multiple values in it. For example, let's assume 5 quiz scores are to be average. We could do this in our head, but let's consider it from the standpoint of code. We would define an array that would hold 5 values. We're assuming the element type, that is the value type, will be integer. The first, second, third, fourth, and fifth values would be test scores. We define a variable to hold the sum, and then we iterate over all 5 of those values. We add them together, and we come up with the sum of the 5 test scores. We divide that number by 5, and that's our average. There's a repetitive sense here. We store values, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. We access them to sum them, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. We repeat that in a very routine, regular way. That's called iteration. It means access each one sequentially, and it's easily implemented in a loop because loops often increase by value of 1. The index values, like a page number in a book, increase by value of 1. Here's some example code. It's not the most brilliant coding, but it does demonstrate these concepts. We have an array at the top. It says integer, bracket, bracket. Those brackets visually represent a box or a container. So we think of it as a container that holds integers. The name of it is scores. And we say new int 5, and that means we have 5 elements. It will hold 5 test scores. We have a loop that indexes from 0 to I less than 5, or 4. 0, 4. We input the score and we assign that to the container based on that index number. Scores 0, scores 1s, up to scores 4. Arrays start their indexing at 0. It doesn't feel natural at first, but most languages have arrays indexed from 0. Next, we come to the sum. We declare that variable, assign it its initial value of 0. Then we loop again through the array using index 0 to 4. We say access the array at index I, which again ranges 0 to 4. And we take that value and we add it to sum. And finally, we print out average score is sum divided by 5.